black when it's late and it's close. Just look at his track record over the past 2 seasons. Carr has thrown 14 game-tying or go-ahead touchdowns in the fourth quarter or overtime since the start of 2015. That's the most by any quarterback in that span, and 6 more than the next closest players in Breeze, Luck, and Big Ben. Now he's trying to come back from a broken fibula injury he suffered last year.
I had my wife and my kids tackle me to make sure it was good. That was a big part of it. Can it take a hit? Because after surgery, you don't want to touch it or anything like that. But I was over there hitting it, all the time and making sure it was good. And trust me, it is. I've tested it a few times. But mentally, the hardest part was taking the first rep, because the last rep you remember was like, oh snap, I broke this thing. But as soon as the ball was snapped, it kind of like it was a blessing, man. It just kind of all went away. We definitely want to take another step. That's huge and hugely important to us. Is we've done some really, really good things, but obviously we've lost our last game, and that's the thing, is how can we be more efficient? How can we be more effective at the right time, at the right moment, however it looks? And, watching guys like Jared and adding guys like Marshawn, even though obviously we had a really good running back in Latavius, you had, a guy like Marshawn, you had a guy like Jared, you had a guy like CP. You just keep adding guys to an offense that had a lot of guys to start with. And, our goal is to make sure that we don't take any steps backwards.
NFL Nation Raiders reporter Paul Gutierrez is with the team at Minicamp. So let's start with Carr and how he's handling all the expectations going into this season, and especially on the heels of the Warriors' success.
Yeah, Susie, I'll tell you what's interesting is I asked Derek Carr about that yesterday. And Derek Carr is the first to tell you that he's a Laker fan in general. He's a Kobe Bryant fan in particular. But yet when it comes to the hometown team, he's always going to root for them. And with the Warriors and the Raiders, they share the same city. They share the same complex. So watching the Warriors win titles in 2 of the past 3 years, that gives the Raiders a little bit of inspiration because they see what it looks like. They can taste it. They can feel it. They can touch it, literally. So there's also some other interesting dynamics going on here because the Warriors are moving back to San Francisco in 2019, leaving Oakland, going across the bay. The Raiders, meanwhile, by 2020, they're going to be in Las Vegas. So as Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, told me, his goal before they leave is to give Oakland a Super Bowl title before they go. So the Raiders have already seen that blueprint. They know what to do. They try to act on that. But Derek Carr, the way he's handling it is probably as best as anybody can when he's expecting a huge payday this offseason with the contract extension.
Paul, what else has stood out for you this offseason for the Raiders?
I think the parts that they've added offensively, they were already the number 6 ranked total offense in the NFL last year, but you add a Marshawn Lynch, you add a Jared Cook at tight end, you continue to bulk up that offensive line, which is one of the most dominant in the NFL already. Cordell Patterson, one of the fastest receivers, kick returners in the league. So they keep adding these toys for Carr to play with on the offensive side of the ball. So that to me has been the most intriguing part, especially Amari Cooper. He's shown up to this offseason program huge, a lot bigger, but still just as fast. And he's been pretty much owning the offseason workouts. Derek Carr said defensive backs need to really be aware of him, that dog in him is really starting to show up.
Paul Gutierrez with the Raiders, huge expectations there. Look forward to this season. What do you see as some of the biggest questions heading into 2017 for this team?
To me, the questions come on defense because we know that this offense is going to be dynamic. But the question in Oakland has to be, can the defense match the offense? Because there have been holes in the secondary that they addressed in the first 2 rounds of the draft. There were holes at linebacker. There's been questions about the pass rush. They have defensive talent. Khalil Mack is as good as any defensive player in the league. But the question is, can the defense match up?
Yeah, it seems like they're going to have to depend on a defense that makes a turnover, an explosive play for them to take the ball away because, I mean, realistically, this offense has enough to beat New England. I think so. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, if you're in the AFC, you're really comparing yourself to New England. Can you beat New England wherever it is, in Gillette Stadium, or if they have to come to your place, maybe you get the #1 seed, something like that. This offense can keep up. Yeah, this defense is the one that's suspect.
No doubt. The middle of the defense is soft, to be quite honest. That's where teams attack them. They're soft at defensive tackle, and they didn't add any linebackers to really help them of significance. Carl Joseph, last year's #1 pick, has to step up big. In the secondary, Gary Conley has to come through big. Obi Melifonwu, who was drafted in the 2nd round, has to come through big. That side of the football has to give Derek more cracks at it and make sure that then when their time comes, Derek has to be worthy of the kind of contract that's being talked about. which is going to be huge, again, which is your domain as far as talking about the contract. You know it's going to be big. If Amari Cooper looks this much better and Jared Cook can really realize his potential, Michael Crabtree, Marshawn, I mean, there's a lot of things to be excited about. But again, this is just the offseason. They're going to have to put it to work now once the regular season starts.
You know what's interesting is the signing of Marshawn Lynch has totally changed the tone and tenor around that team. It would be that the team is getting ready to leave for Las Vegas, and now everybody's talking about Marshawn Lynch being back in the area where he's from, being a rallying point around that entire franchise. He has turned the conversation about that team himself.
Yeah, I think they've believed that they are good, but now it's because he has a championship pedigree and he has such a huge following both in the National Football League and in society in general, and in that city in particular. I think that's a huge boost. That's a huge extra boost that maybe, hopefully, for Raider Nation pushes them over the top.
And certain players have personalities that resonate in the locker room, big time. And I mean, as much as Marshawn Lynch stays away from the media, doesn't want to talk to the media, that's almost like the players respect that. All you want to be is around us, and you want to be a positive teammate. We respect that. You don't care about any type of attention or anything like that. It resonates.
Well, he's been actually involved with the media the past week.
He's been so invested.
Exactly, because he wants to promote the community and the city and talk about what a great place it is. So he's turning it around.
How long do you think that lasts?
Well, listen, he's done it this week, and maybe he doesn't do it again the rest of the year. But for the time being, he has taken and turned it into a positive, dealing with the media. And again, players have to remember, they don't speak to the media, they speak through the media. And Marshawn's trying to deliver a message through the media about that city.
We had some messages delivered here. There's some bulletin board material. Let's see. Teddy said the offense can beat the Patriots, and Lewis said the middle of the